He validates her, makes her feel secure, he makes her feel comfortable. And I think a lot of times we miss that part. If you look in olden times, you didn't have like a bunch of partners. You
Right.
could try it out. You could try it out. So you pass her off to the man, and then the man that she marries takes over the validation piece.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very big, and that's why when a man emotionally drains or destroys a woman's psyche or her mentality, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're almost like you're almost like an absent father, or either a father who abuses her emotionally. So
Yeah.
I think tying the two things together. So you played basketball. It's funny that your father wasn't around, but you ended up choosing basketball, which was for many years a man's sport.
Yeah.
And then, it became a woman's sport also, but didn't become hugely popular in the United States until recently, I guess in our recent childhood growing up. And so with that said, you start playing basketball. You had a boyfriend, latter years of high school and into college. But what's some of the things some of the nuances you notice about women's basketball? That you have women who wanted to play, who actually were so athletic. Like I remember watching you play for the first time. I'm like, dude, you can whoop most dudes on the court. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, some women want to play as well as or better than guys. Some women try to pattern themselves behind a guy's game. Some women just look to stay the prissy, sweet, So what are some of the things that you can say that you can speak to in that area of basketball?
For me, I feel like I take on a different persona when I play basketball. Like my pastor wants to play basketball, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to play with you yet, just because I am very aggressive. And I think as women in general, when we're playing any type of sport, and it's a man's sport, right? If you just look at the WNBA, they don't get paid what the men get paid, and it's only for a short season. So we're still behind men, and so as a young girl playing, you have to feel. I felt like I had to work 3 times as hard to get the same respect that a guy would get for barely putting any time in, and my skill set be better than his. It kind of goes into the workforce, right? You have to do 3 times the work as a female to get the same accolades as a male. But for me personally, I think that you find your favorite player and you emulate them. Whether it be Michael Jordan at the time was when we were playing, and yeah, he was my guy. And I've never owned a pair of Jordans, but and I loved Allen Iverson. Like I had every one of his shoes. Jordan's a little too expensive. I was on a budget, right? So, but I loved both of their games. They were aggressive. They didn't give up. They were determined. There were qualities about them that I wanted to emulate, but I never wanted to emulate being a guy. I wanted to show the world that a woman can do the same thing and have the same skill set, And I think nowadays young girls emulate in a way where it's tomboyish, and being a tomboy puts you in a bucket. And it's okay to be, I'm a tomboy still to this day. Like if I had a choice, I don't want to be in the house cooking. I'd rather be outside doing something, So I think we have to be careful not to bucket young girls into a tomboy status, which in turn can lead them into, well, if I'm a tomboy, then I'm also this, because this is what a tomboy is.
And it makes you wonder too, kind of segueing into that area of it. It makes you wonder, like, some of these girls, they get to playing with other young ladies and other women, and then to the point where they're looking at the women and they're seeing things about the women. They admire the woman or their beauty or admire something that they're wearing or whatever. It becomes an attraction thing.
Yeah.
Then they start feeling physically attracted to the person, or mentally, in their head, they're starting to have these thoughts. Like you said, then you start falling into the area of people think this anyway.
I might as well be.
The tomboy, I may as well, check it out and see what the deal is. So it becomes a thought. From a thought, that thought sometimes also started, or the origin of that thought maybe came from childhood. Do you think that there was a time in your childhood where before you was even playing basketball, you had any kind of physical or any kind of emotional attraction to a woman before playing ball?
No, I didn't. I can't say that I did. I didn't have any type of attraction. I think the woman that I became after leaving my ex-boyfriend I think I was drawn to the life I led because of how, like, my background. Like at the age of 5, like my father was absent. He was in and out. At the age of 5, I was molested by a family friend. right? And then I have multiple boyfriends during high school, but I'm never like really serious with anyone. I was a virgin the entire time until I met my long-term boyfriend for 5 years. And then as I'm dating him, like now, my dad has never been around. I've been molested by this man that I trusted. And now I'm in this relationship where he's not physically abusive, but the mental and the verbal is horrible. And it wasn't always bad. He was a good guy. Hurt people. And he was hurting me based on some things that he had been through. And I didn't realize this until years later, which made it so easy for me to forgive him and move forward. But for me personally, I had things happen to me that were related from men. And when you're a female, we're natural, like God created us to be helpmates. We came from Adam's so that we could stand next to him and have relationship. We were created for relationship. And so if I have a relationship with a female and it's a really good friendship and I've been hurt and all of a sudden I'm looking at you different, like, oh, well, maybe she can help heal me. Like she could be a part of my heart, and like, maybe this is who I am. And I believed it for a long time, So I think that things that led up to me becoming who I was after I left him are things that have happened in my past. I don't think it had anything to do with sports. I don't think it had anything to do with basketball. It was just a part of who I was. It was a part of my story.
Devil was waiting for an opportunity.
He was waiting for an opportunity.
Yeah, with the struggles or the different things you face to deal with. So what do you think? Go back if you can. Take me to the turning point. What do you think the turning point was from you? You break up with this guy who was your first serious boyfriend. You find out he's been lying to you the entire time.
Yeah.
You go from that to just kind of being single. Is that
no? Actually, the turning point it happened very quickly.
Okay.
So the day we broke up, the night before I had went to a party. It was all girl party. So it was like I played in these leagues, and so one of the girls was like, "We're gonna have a party," but no men can come. So we had plans that day, and I'm like, "Listen." The next day was his son's, I think, 9th birthday, or 8th birthday or something. So it was like, "Look, I'm gonna go to this party." I never did anything. I was always with him. I'm gonna go to this party with my friend, and then I'm gonna come home, and the next day we'll go have your son's birthday party at the pool.
Okay.
So I go to the party. There was someone there that I was attracted to, and
at the party.
At the party, I did not do anything, but I was very attracted to her. I just felt drawn to her, and I had already felt drawn to her at a couple of the games, and I would just comment on her game and stuff, and he didn't really notice it, and I didn't know what was going on.
So I want to back up, pause for a second, because I want to touch on something you said. You said you saw a young lady at the party, and you felt drawn to her, attracted to her. How do you? I don't know, because like I said, I've never been down this road, so I want to try to understand what that attraction feels like, what it looks like. What did you? Because up until this point, you've been with only a male.
Yeah.
Okay.
The attraction is the same attraction that you felt for your wife when you met her. It's the exact same thing. The exact same thing that you saw.
Well, I liked her body? No, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's...
All right.
I mean, whatever you're attracted to is what you're attracted to. Her looks, her personality, is the exact same thing as heterosexuals. There's nothing different. The only difference is when people think of people that are living a homosexual lifestyle, they think you only think about sex. That's all it's about. Like, you just want to be with that person for sex. And it's not that. Like, it was emotional. It was mental. It was a relationship. And the exact same thing that draws you to anyone that you're attracted to is the exact same thing for same sex. The exact same thing. Okay. Mine is that it's the same sex.
Right.
Probably difficult for men to understand that.
It is for a man, because honestly, I think for a man, a lot of times when we look at a woman that we want to be with, or we see somebody with, I'm attracted to her, but you look at certain things, but a man is natural selfishness, wants to see what he can get out of it. So you're looking at her like, you like, I want to go ahead and,
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, back in the day, that's how you look at it. So.
That wasn't it for me.
You said that wasn't it for you, but. Okay, so it wasn't physical, in terms of that.
Yeah.
The sexual part, because you obviously you don't know what it's like anyway to be with a woman in the first place. But The attraction, so you're saying physically, looks?
Yeah, the looks.
Okay.
Her personality. We played ball together, so I knew we had things in common. We've actually had sat down and talked. So that's kind of where the attraction was. It was like she was my friend, and she's pretty, and we have things in common, and she's funny. Like all of those external things that would draw you to someone were the exact same things that drew me to her.
That's amazing. So you talk to them, you have this thing. Emotions are funny.
Emotions are funny.
Man, that's why they tell you. I mean, it's almost as if like you have to be careful because your emotions, they will trick you.
Yeah.
They'll take you in directions or places that you didn't see yourself going.
Yeah.
And they're finicky. They're up and down. They fluctuate. So that's why it's so important not to be. I realize now God is not a feeling.
No.
He's not a feeling. I mean, there are feelings that are involved. Things happen where you do feel some form of emotion. When it comes to God, but God is not a feeling because they're so unpredictable. And but you obviously had a feeling by having a conversation with this young lady.
I felt like we had a connection.
Okay. Do you feel like she understood you?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think as a female, when you have that connection with someone, they become your good friends. And she was I consider her my friend first before she became more than that.